Okay, welcome. We're going to do a deep dive today, one really crafted for you, looking into what makes characters tick in stories, why their journeys grab us.
Yeah, how writers actually build that connection, that feeling of real change.
Exactly. And our main source today is Cam Whalen's book, Creating Character Arcs. Its subtitle is The Masterful Author's Guide to Uniting Story Structure, Plot, and Character Development. Quite a mouthful.
Huh? Yeah, but it really gets to the core of it. The book shows how plot, structure, and that inner character journey are, well, inseparable.
So our mission here is basically to unpack the big ideas from this book for you. Think of it as, I guess, a shortcut, getting to the heart of how believable character change happens.
We'll look at the essential bits and pieces and how story events aren't just random things happening to the character. They're kind of the engine making them change.
Right. Makes sense.
So the fundamental idea, right up front in the book, is that you can't really treat character development, plot, and story structure like separate things.
They're all linked.
They're symbiotic, as Weiland puts it. They feed each other. If you get one part right, it helps you nail the others.
Which is actually pretty empowering, isn't it? If you figure out the character's big internal shift, it can sort of map out the plot points you need.
Exactly, and vice versa. Working on the plot can shine a light on what the character's really struggling with inside.
So what is a character arc, fundamentally?
At its simplest, it's about a character's perspective shifting, their priorities changing, or their basic understanding of themselves or the world evolving.
Okay. So what are the core components? The book must lay out some building blocks.
It does. Four key things. First up is the lie.
The lie they believe, not one they tell.
Precisely. It's a core, often unconscious belief the character holds about themselves or how the world works. And it's, well, wrong, or at least deeply limiting. Usually you can boil it down to one short sentence.
Like bad code running in the background?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Examples from the source. Thor believing might makes right. That's his lie. Or Jane Eyre thinking, the only way I can possibly earn love is basically through servitude.
Wow, that's specific.
That can be. Or Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park, his initial lie is something like, kids, not worth the trouble, not worth protecting.
And these beliefs really drive their behavior at the start.
Absolutely. And the book notes, like with Jane Eyre, there can be qualifiers. Her worthiness is tied specifically to being subservient. And characters deepen their lie. They're often chasing what Weiland calls perceived solutions, trying to fix symptoms, not the root cause.
Which leads right into the next building block.
The thing your character wants. This is almost always external, physical, something tangible they're actively chasing in the plot.
They think that's the answer.
Right. They unconsciously think getting this external thing will fill the internal void left by the lie. So Thor wants to be king.
Obvious goal.
Jane Eyre wants to be loved, which sounds internal, but she seeks it through external validation in situations. Dr. Grant just wants to study his dinosaur bones in peace.
Yeah.
Or think about Three Kings. The characters want enough money to be free and happy. Now, these goals aren't necessarily bad things in themselves,
Art.
but pursuing them because of the lie, as a substitute for dealing with the internal problem, just digs them deeper into that lie's control.
Okay, so internal problem is the lie. External goal is the want. What's the counterbalance?
That's the thing your character needs. This is the opposite of the want, usually. It's internal. A realization, an embrace of a fundamental truth that shatters the lie.
The real solution to their internal problem.
Exactly. It's what they actually require to grow, to become whole. So Thor needs to learn humility and compassion. Jane Eyre needs to fundamentally embrace her own spiritual freedom, her inherent worth.
Not just find love, but find herself.
Precisely. Dr. Grant needs to shift his focus to protect the living future represented by the kids over the dead past, the bones.
And Woody in Toy Story.
Needs to learn to share Andy's love, to accept he isn't the sole favorite, and that's okay. The key thing here is the need often seems to block the want, at least initially.
You mean they might have to give up what they thought they wanted?
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Sacrifice the want to gain the need. Or sometimes embracing the need later allows them to achieve the want, or a healthier version of it, in a new way.
That's a really interesting tension. So where does the lie actually come from in the first place?
That brings us to the fourth piece.
Yeah.
The ghost, or sometimes called the wound.
Okay.
This is something in the character's past, an event, a relationship, an experience, something that still haunts them. It's the root cause, the reason they started believing the lie.
The origin story of the faulty belief.
You got it. And it can be something huge and dramatic, a battle, a death, a betrayal, or something seemingly more ordinary but just as damaging, like a really difficult relationship with a parent.
So Thor's ghost.
The book suggests it's the promise that he'd always be king no matter what, which fed his arrogance, his lie that might makes right.
Ah, entitlement.
Right. For Jane Eyre, it's explicitly her aunt's refusal to love her, which planted the seed for her lie about needing servitude to be worthy.
Makes sense.
And a classic example from the prequels, Anakin Skywalker's ghost is his pass as a powerless slave. That fear of powerlessness fuels his eventual lie about needing absolute control.
And the bigger the ghost, the deeper the lie. Probably the more dramatic the arc needs to be.
Generally, yes. And the ghost can be handled different ways. It might be a mystery the audience uncovers slowly, or it could be shown right up front, like in origin stories. Think Batman Begins. We see the ghost his parents murder very early on.
Okay, so those four lie, want, need, ghost are like the fundamental DNA of a character arc.
Pretty much. And how the character navigates these elements defines the type of arc they have. Weiland outlines three main types.
The first one's probably the most common, the positive change arc.
Yeah, that's the classic transformation story. Character starts trapped by the lie, the story forces them to confront it, they struggle, eventually overcome it, embrace a new truth, which is essentially realizing the need, and they end up fundamentally better, stronger, more whole. Usually a hopeful ending.
Okay, standard hero's journey stuff, often. What's next?
Then you have the flat arc. This one's interesting because the character, well, they don't really change internally.
Wait, how's that an arc then?
Because they start the story already believing in the truth. They have the internal understanding that the world around them, or other characters, lack. Their journey isn't about personal change. It's about them using their unwavering truth to change the world or the people around them.
Ah, okay, so they're the catalyst, not the one being changed.
Exactly. Think Katniss in the Hunger Games. Her core belief in compassion and trust, that's her truth from the start. The story is about how she holds on to that truth in a world built on a lie. Fear, control, sadism, and how that impacts Panem. She doesn't find closure, she sparks revolution.
I see. Or Maximus in Gladiator.
Perfect example. His truth is his belief in what Rome should be a republic, a light against Commodus's lie of tyranny. Maximus doesn't change his core beliefs. He imposes them on a corrupt system.
And Batman Begins.
Same idea. Bruce Wayne's truth is that justice is about harmony, not simple revenge. The lie he fights is vengeance, chaos. He doesn't learn this in the movie. He arrives with it and tries to implement it in Gotham.
Got it. So positive, flat.
Yeah.
What's the third?
The negative change arc. And yeah, these could be pretty dark.
How do they work?
Basically, the character starts with a lie, maybe even gets a glimpse of the truth, but ultimately slides deeper into darkness. They end up embracing the lie more fully, or a worse version of it. They finish the story in a darker place than they started.
Ooh.
The book mentions a few variations. There's the disillusionment arc, where they overcome the initial lie only to embrace a new tragic truth about the world. Think Nick Caro in The Great Gatsby. He starts hopeful, ends cynical.
Right, he learns a harsh lesson.
Then there's the fall arc, where they maybe fight the lie but end up succumbing to it, often ending worse off. Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights, maybe. His quest for vengeance consumes him, brings no peace.
And the corruption arc. You mentioned Anakin earlier.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. The character clearly sees the truth, understands the better path, but actively rejects it, choosing the lie instead, often out of fear or greed or lust for power. Anakin's journey in the prequels is the textbook example. He had the potential, saw the light side, but chose the dark.
Okay, so these internal shifts, positive, flat, or negative, they don't just happen randomly inside the character's head. The plot drives them.
Absolutely. The plot structure is the crucible. Weiland really maps this out, especially for the positive change arc, showing how key plot points aren't just twists. They're catalysts for internal change. We could trace it, maybe use Scrooge again.
Yeah, good example. So the first act sets things up.
Right. You establish the normal world. For Scrooge, that's his cold, isolating life that perfectly reflects his lie. Wealth is everything, people are burdens. We see it in his freezing office, his lonely house.
It visually shows the lie in action.
Exactly. And you often get a characteristic moment early on that first scene, showing Scrooge being stingy with his clerk, dismissing charity collectors. It introduces his personality, his lie, his want, more money, but maybe hints at the emptiness underneath.
Establishes the starting point. Then something disrupts it.
The inciting event. usually happens midway through the first act. It's the first real brush with the main conflict. For Scrooge, it's crystal clear. Jacob Marley's ghost appears, gives him the warning.
That definitely shakes things up.
It creates what Weiland calls an itch, a disturbance. The character becomes aware something's wrong, even if they try to ignore it, like Scrooge trying to dismiss Marley as indigestion.
And this pushes them towards the end of the first act.
Yeah, it leads to a decision point where the character has to react, has to do something about this disturbance, which propels them towards the first plot point.
Which is the big turn into the main story, usually around 20–25%.
Exactly. It's a major event, often a point of no return that yanks the character out of their normal world. Literally or metaphorically, it shatters their equilibrium. For Scrooge, it's the arrival of the ghost of Christmas past. He can't say no. He's forced onto this journey.
Or Thor getting banished from Asgard. That definitely changed his world.
Perfect example. His lie, arrogance, entitlement directly causes his banishment. Or Jane Eyre getting hired as a governess at Thornfield Hall. New setting, new challenges. Lightning McQueen crashing into Radiator Springs.
So this new world challenges the lie.
It doesn't let them stay complacent. It forces them to confront things differently. And it usually gives them a new, more concrete goal related to their want, but now in this new context.
Okay, so they're in the adventure world. What happens in the first half of the second act?
Mostly the characters reacting. They're exploring this new world, trying to figure things out, still driven primarily by their original want and operating under the lie.
But maybe getting hints of something else.
Yeah, they might encounter people or situations that offer glimpses of the truth or give them tools they'll need later. Scrooge is being shown his past by the first ghost. He's seeing the roots of his lie, seeing moments of happiness he abandoned. He's reacting, sometimes resisting, but learning.
Like Lightning McQueen in Radiator Springs, he's getting advice but still wants to just get back to the race.
Exactly. He's making superficial progress towards his want, maybe, but he's blind to the deeper internal conflict or actively resisting the need for community and humility.
Until the midpoint, around the 50% mark. You called it the swivel.
Yeah, it's a crucial turning point, often a major revelation or event that stops the reactive phase and forces the character to become more active. They might finally grasp the true stakes or have a moment of truth where they see the lie for what it is, even if they can't fully let go yet.
They turn away from just dealing with the effects of the lie.
Maybe start to grapple with the lie itself, or at least see the truth more clearly. For Scrooge, this could be seeing Belle, his lost love, happy with her family, and realizing the profound emptiness of the path he chose. He sees the cost of his lie.
Or Woody and Buzz getting left behind at the gas station in Toy Story.
Big midpoint. Woody realizes his want. Getting back to Andy now depends on embracing a need cooperation, saving Buzz. He has to act differently.
And in Cars.
Maybe when Lightning loses that race to Doc Hudson, it confronts him with the reality that his old ways aren't enough, that he might actually need help, need the wisdom of Radiator Springs, even if he hates admitting it. He also starts bonding with Mater around then, seeing the value and connection.
So they see the truth, but they might still waver.
Oh, absolutely. That's key. Before the midpoint, the lie was largely unopposed. Now, the truth has entered the ring. There's internal conflict. The character's torn.
You can really show that shift in the second half of the second act.
Definitely. The character's now acting more consciously, armed with the midpoint's insight. They're starting to, maybe subconsciously, value the truth more than the want. They might make real progress, but this section often ends with a false victory or a major setback.
Like they try to get the want, but compromise the truth to do it.
Exactly, showing they haven't fully integrated the lesson yet. Or maybe they achieve something that looks like success, but feels hollow because it's still based on the lie.
Which sets them up for the lowest point. The third plot point, around 75%.
Yeah, the dark night of the soul. It's the moment where everything seems lost. Often involves a form of death, literal danger, the death of a dream, the loss of reputation, the death of someone close, witnessing your own metaphorical death.
It breaks them.
It has to. For a positive change arc, this is where the lie leads to ultimate defeat. It forces the character to finally confront it head-on and fully choose the truth. For Scrooge, it's seeing his own neglected grave, realizing no one cares he's dead, and seeing Tiny Tim's possible death. It's devastating.
It makes the choice undeniable.
Right. Thor sacrificing himself to the Destroyer to save Jane and the townspeople. Jane Eyre fleeing Rochester when she discovers his wife choosing her integrity, need, over the love she wanted on false terms. Walter in Secondhand Lions finally rejecting his mother's lies, even at great personal risk.
Or Lightning McQueen, maybe when his old agent shows up right before the final race, tempting him back to his old selfish ways, jeopardizing his new friendships and perspective.
That could work as a low point, forcing a final internal choice, yeah. This defeat fuels a new resolve, born from finally embracing the truth,
And that leads directly into the climax.
where the character acts decisively, fully embodying their new truth. The internal debate is mostly over. The suspense is now about the outcome. Will acting on the truth actually work? Will they succeed externally?
Though maybe a flicker of doubt remains.
Could be, makes it human. But the core choice is made. Scrooge wakes up Christmas morning a changed man and immediately acts on it, buying the turkey, giving money, visiting his nephew. The question isn't will he be generous, but how will people react?
And Thor destroying the Bifrost Bridge.
Huge climax. He sacrifices his connection to Jane, to Earth, to fulfill his need, protecting the realms, acting with responsibility. Jane Eyre returning to Rochester, but now as his equal, transformed, allowing for a true union.
And Lightning McQueen in Cars.
The climax is him choosing not to win the Piston Cup, his original want, but instead stopping to help the wrecked king finish his last race. That's him fully living his needs, sportsmanship, respect, community over selfish ambition.
Powerful stuff.
Right.
Which leaves just the resolution.
The aftermath. It shows the new status quo, proves the character's change is lasting, and shows the impact on their world. We see Scrooge being joyful, charitable, reconnecting. That's his new normal.
Lightning embracing Radiator Springs, setting up his racing headquarters there, turning down the big sponsor. His change revitalizes the town.
Exactly. It provides that sense of closure and confirms the meaning of a journey.
Wow. Okay, seeing it laid out like that, connecting the plot beats directly to the internal struggle,
Yeah.
it really clicks. It's not just stuff happening, it's targeted pressure.
Precisely. And the book talks about how characters are motivated to change, basically, rewards and punishments.
Meaning?
Plot events serve this function. When the character acts out of the lie, they get punished. Things go wrong, they suffer, they push people away. When they tentatively act out of the truth, they get rewarded. Things start working, they connect with others, maybe get closer to a healthy version of their goal. The plot teaches them, through consequences, that the old way hurts and the new way works.
That makes change feel earned, not just decided upon. What about longer stories, like a series? Does this structure still apply?
It can, absolutely.
Yeah.
An overarching arc can span multiple books or seasons, with the major beats spread out. Luke Skywalker's journey from farm boy to Jedi Knight across the original Star Wars trilogy is the classic example. His first plot point might be leaving Tatooine, midpoint facing Vader and Empire, third plot point learning Vader is his father, climax confronting the Emperor.
But each movie could have its own mini-arc, too.
Definitely. Individual installments often have self-contained arcs that contribute to the larger one. Keeps things satisfying along the way.
And you mentioned character arcs can be subplots, not always the main focus.
Right. Weiland touches on this too. Sometimes, especially in action-heavy stories, a character might have a smaller standard arc that adds depth but isn't the central story engine. Think Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy shifts, learns teamwork, but the main plot is stopping Ronan. It often relies on familiar tropes.
Okay.
Then there are tangential arcs. These feel like complete arcs, but they're kind of parallel to the main plot. Dr. Grant's arc about learning to care for the kids in Jurassic Park is a great example. It's moving. It adds heart and thematic resonance about nurturing the future.
But the main plot about dinosaurs escaping and nature being uncontrollable could, theoretically, still happen without Grant changing his views on kids.
Exactly. Though the film is much richer for it. And sometimes a protagonist might even have extra arcs, maybe a main internal arc and a secondary relationship arc that mirrors or contrasts with the main theme. You just have to be careful not to make the story feel cluttered.
What about the characters who help the protagonist change? Is there a term for them?
Often that's the impact character. This is usually a major supporting character who fundamentally challenges the protagonist's lie. They might embody the truth, or just constantly create conflict that forces the protagonist to confront their issues. They're like the pivot point for the main character's change.
Like Haymitch for Katniss, maybe? Or Doc Hudson for Lightning?
Could be argued, yeah. They represent a different way of seeing or being that the protagonist needs to grapple with.
And all the other minor characters, do they need arcs?
Not usually full arcs, no. But they're crucial for building theme. You can use minor characters to show different responses to the story's central thematic question, the lie versus truth. A sidekick might mirror the protagonist's struggle in a smaller way or offer a contrast.
And the antagonist.
Comparing the antagonist to the protagonist is huge. How are they similar? Do they share the same ghost but react differently? Does the villain represent the ultimate embodiment of the lie the hero is fighting? These comparisons add layers without needing complex arcs for everyone.
Okay, this whole framework is incredibly useful for understanding characters who transform. But do stories have to have character arcs? What about those fun adventures where the hero is basically the same at the end?
Totally valid question. And the book acknowledges, yes, you can absolutely write entertaining, successful stories without significant character arcs. Raiders of the Lost Ark comes up often. Indy is Indy. He doesn't fundamentally change.
And it's a classic.
Right. These are often called situations rather than stories in the sense Weiland discusses. They're focused on external problems, puzzles, action. The source draws a distinction. Situations primarily entertain, while stories with arcs tend to entertain and explore what it means to be human, often through the lens of change.
So it's a different goal, not necessarily better or worse.
Exactly. And it's different from a flat arc, remember. Indy doesn't really have a core truth he's imposing on the world like a flat arc character does. He's just having an adventure. It's about the storyteller's intent.
This whole discussion, the lie, want, need, ghost, how the plot points force the change, it really demystifies things. It shows the architecture behind characters that feel real.
It really does. It highlights the craft involved, how intentional story structure is when it comes to creating resonant emotional journeys. It's not just random plot points. It's a system designed to challenge and change a person.
And for you listening, this isn't just theory for writers. Understanding this can genuinely deepen your appreciation for the stories you love. You start seeing the machinery beneath the surface.
Yeah, you can spot the lie, see why the character needs what they need, why that midpoint felt so significant. It adds another layer to the experience.
So let's leave you with something to chew on. Think about one of your absolute favorite stories, book, film, game, whatever. Can you pinpoint the main character's lie? That core false belief they started with.
And what was the external thing they wanted? What were they chasing? More importantly, what was the internal thing they needed? The truth they had to find.
What kind of arc was it? Positive, flat, negative? And can you maybe trace how those key plot moments, the inciting event, the plot points, the midpoint, forced them along that path? How did the journey change them or maybe change the world around them?
Mulling that over might just give you a whole new perspective on why that particular story works so well for you.